Once upon a time, a farmer's old horse fell into a deep, dry well. The horse began to cry out loudly, and the farmer stood there, helpless. He tried everything. He tried pulling the horse with a rope. He tried piling dirt around the well to make a ramp for the horse to climb out on. But the well was deep, and the horse was heavy. No one came to help. Finally, with a broken heart, the farmer made a painful decision. His horse was old. It was no longer useful in the field. And this well was dangerous. It had to be covered before someone else fell in. He would bury the horse here and end his suffering. So he picked up his shovel and began to throw shovel after shovel of dirt into the well. But something unexpected happened. Each time the dirt landed on the horse's back, the horse shook it off and stepped up. Yes, he didn't let the dirt bury him. He used it to climb. Every shovel of dirt he shook off, he stepped up. Another shovel, he shook it off and climbed higher and higher. The farmer kept throwing dirt, but the horse kept shaking it off and stepping up until he was almost out of the well. The farmer stopped. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. Was that really his old, weak horse? Then, right before the farmer's eyes, the horse made one final shake, one final step, and leapt out of the well. Alive, strong, and free, the horse shook his head, snorted, and pawed the ground. With a newfound energy, he started to run around the farmer's field, happy and full of vigor. The farmer stood there in shock as he watched his horse run. Now, I know what you're thinking. A talking horse. Really? Well, not only horses, but donkeys and mules can also talk. If you know how to listen, they have a lot to say. They have their own language, you know? They communicate with each other through a variety of sounds, from brays and screams to whinnies and snorts. And these animals are super smart. They're even smarter than dogs. So when the talking horse tells me stories about human beings, I listen. This horse has a lot to say about human beings. He says we are selfish, greedy, and unkind. Do you think he's right? Well, you can decide for yourself. Listen to the story he told me, and then you can decide. Once upon a time, a farmer had a beautiful horse. The horse was the farmer's most prized possession, and he took great care of him. He fed him the best food, groomed his coat until it shone like polished mahogany, and put him to work in the fields only when necessary. The farmer loved his horse. But one day, the farmer's son came up to him and said, "Father, I want to ride to town on your horse." The farmer hesitated, but his son insisted, and so the farmer agreed. "But don't ride him hard," he warned his son. "He's an old horse and not strong enough for a hard ride." The son promised to take good care of the horse, and off he went. The sun climbed higher in the sky as the boy rode through the town. He was having the time of his life, and he didn't think about his father's warning. Suddenly, just as he was passing by the blacksmith's shop, the boy whipped the horse and shouted, "Faster, you old animal, faster!" At that moment, the horse felt a sharp pain in his leg. He reared up on his hind legs and threw the boy off his back. The boy hit the ground hard and cried out in pain. The blacksmith rushed out of his shop to see what had happened. When he saw the fallen boy, he said, "Your boy was driving you too hard. I'm surprised you didn't throw him off your back sooner." The horse shook his head and stamped his foot. "I tried to tell him, but he wouldn't listen," the horse said. "He kept yelling at me to go faster, but I told him I was already going as fast as I could." The blacksmith looked at the horse with admiration. "Well said, old friend," he said. "It's better to be driven slowly than to be whipped into a frenzy." The horse nodded his head in agreement. And from that day on, the horse became the blacksmith's horse, pulling his cart and helping him deliver his goods throughout the town. And whenever the farmer's son came by, he would look at the horse with envy and remember the day he had learned a valuable lesson about kindness and respect. So the talking horse told me that humans often treat animals badly, but sometimes animals can teach us important lessons if we listen to them. That's all for today. See you next time.